Gini coefficient. Rich is getting
Sure.
richer and poor is getting poorer. So reduce this gap. Do you think that President Barack Obama has been successful in reducing this gap?
A little bit. I mean, if you look at Obamacare, a lot of the spending is for health care for people who had no health care who are poor. Some of them are seniors and some of them are not.
Another challenge for President Obama is that how to get Congress working for him, because that's somewhere, because Republicans who have a good majority in the Congress. So how to get Congress and Senate?
Well, this is a hard problem. I mean, the sort of state of affairs in America, the state of the nation, and this is true really now for the last 60 years, from 1950, where no party controlled House and Senate, both chambers of Congress, and the presidency simultaneously divided government, 1/3 of the year unified government. And guess what? For the next 4 years, unless the Democrats somehow have a beat, and we're going to continue to have these standing, they can't have it both
Right,
ways.
so passing any legislation will indeed be a tough challenge for jobs and middle class security.
Well, I mean, that's mostly the plan for middle-class security. I mean, that's mostly a talking point, of course. Some talk about trying to figure out a way. This is a problem. Americans are working longer hours for basically the same pay. And part of that is that we increasingly have shifted the tax burden onto work. The payroll tax was 10.
As of now, the biggest challenge for for President Obama will be the struggling economy, and he has to do something about the. If we talk about the role of Indians in this particular elections, it was a good number of and the kind of response he received in US. We were in India discussing about the affiliations, because earlier Indians were known about supporting Republicans. What is it that changed for the Indians there in US that they were all supporting the Democrat?
Well, Asian Americans broadly tend to vote Democratic and have in every election since '96, and Indian Americans actually usually vote at a higher rate than, say, Southeast Asian or middle class non-white.
But if we try and, this was indeed very interesting, because we saw many Indian Americans supporting President Obama's candidature and the Democratic Party. But if we focus a bit on the global issues, the biggest challenge for US by 2014 will also be withdrawal of troops from Afghanistan. In fact, reports also suggest that the kind of, in fact, they've already started, but the kind of, in fact, Karzai was in Washington and they had a meeting. There's also this whole talk of having no troops in Afghanistan, considering the money involved. Do you also feel at this stage US is realizing the importance of Pakistan, if at all they need the support of ISI to get out of Afghanistan?
Well, I think there's been this interesting sort of balancing act for the U.S. between Islamabad and Delhi. On the one hand, I think the inclination for Washington is to obviously favor India. It's a democracy, and you know, it's a growing economy, and it's a counterbalance to the Soviets and the Russians, excuse me, and to the Chinese, right? In the
yeah, but post about what we have seen, that US had a very aggressive attitude towards Pakistan, be it these. But as of now, we have seen the kind of approach which US is using. People also say that they realize it very well now, that without Pakistan they cannot get out of Afghanistan. So do you see it as a face-saving tactic also?
Well, I think from a realpolitik standpoint, we've always had to negotiate with Pakistan in a way that if they weren't a neighbor of Afghanistan, we never would, right?
Right.
And so that's a problem that Obama inherited, and you know, I'm not suggesting that it was a bad idea for us to go into Afghanistan after 9/11 or the Bush era. I supported that invasion. I didn't support the Iraq invasion.
A lot of conflict within the US government also, especially in the Congress, about what kind of approach US should have in Afghanistan, whether Taliban should be part of the agreements of or the power sharing, should have power sharing in the government or not. So there's a lot of debate in this particular area also. But quickly, your comments on US approach towards Middle East, because we know the kind of political leverage which US had in West Asia is now in a way completely gone post-Arab uprising, and Iran is one country which is creating a lot of trouble. US is still very unhappy with that. But George Bush had in fact a completely different attitude towards Iran. President Obama comparatively softer stand towards Iran.
Yeah, I mean, I think the single biggest tension for foreign policy, and not just in the Obama era, but really for the 21st century, is this tension between, and I disagreed with most of Bush's policies, but you can't disagree with the theory that the notion that the United States should support...
Axis of evil, that's how when he named Iran and the group of countries.
Right, but what I was saying is that, you know, Bush's general philosophy about the notion of America supporting emergent democracies, who wants to argue with that? The United States should stand side by side with countries that are trying to either develop or expand or protect emerging democracies through revolution or whatever means. The problem is, and I think the tension for American foreign policy for maybe the whole of the 21st century, and certainly the first half of here, well after Obama leaves office in 4 years, is what happens when democracies emerge and the leaders and the movements that are chosen democratically are those who doesn't like.
Right, but
I mean, there's a tension between...
For President Obama and the US at this stage, going to Afghanistan will not work, and continuing the troops there will not work, knowing very well that how it is affecting the US economy. But final comments from you. Where does the United States at this stage stand in the 21st century? If we have to talk, superpower, that's how the kind of notion it's in the current global order, in the current economic order. Where do you see US?
Well, the strategic and security question, I think, starts with Iran, as you pointed out, and a non-nuclear Iran. You see no change between the two parties. There's almost perfect unanimity on the Iranian question. Both parties, they have 4 times as many people, but we're already not first in the world in GDP per capita. There's countries like Belgium.
So President Obama, as of now, has a clear-cut strategy what he wants to do in the next 4 years, and let's hope that things will change for good internationally as well as domestically. Knowing very well, even in China, we have seen change of leadership. So change of leadership in both these countries. Completely out of time. Thank you very much, Professor Shala.
Great to be here.
It was great to speak to you, and that's all we have for you in this edition of In Transit. Thank you very much for watching. Namaskar.